Good morning. Welcome along to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain.
It's a beautiful Thursday morning. I'm Coyote Okikiodu from here in Lagos.
And hope you had a good night. Amaya Makine, welcome to the program. And to another day.
I hope you had a good flight.
Oh, yeah. Eating, take away, not eating. Yeah.
That's what the flight was about?
Yeah, I think it's
a highlight of the flight.
It is a highlight. For God's sake, the last time I flew, I didn't get anything.
So you got a
just
buffet?
water. Huh?
You got a buffet?
Yes, served on
a platter of takeaway.
Platter of Miley.
Oh dear.
Oh boy.
At least it's a step forward, so to speak. Initially, nothing was served at all. Previously, you get it in your seat. But now, initially nothing was served at all, just water that you picked yourself from the pocket. But now, that slight improvement is there. You get it as you exit the aircraft. I guess we can say things are gradually drawing
the
back to
vaccination
normal.
drive.
Even though some are complaining about the third wave, as though the second, well, we had the first, and then talk about second. Now they're talking about the third. UK is trying to put in place a fine for those who unnecessarily leave the UK.
Unnecessarily leave
Yeah, that's what they say, that if you leave without any valid reason, so they were considering
Isn't that an infringement?
5,000. Well, if the parliament passes it, what do you do? But anyway, good thing here. I think they're talking about opening. Is it Nnamdi Azikiwe, Kano Airport, several of the international airports. So the government is looking into that to see what happens. But we'll see how some of the dailies are reflecting some of these matters, because I bet they will today. But we do have Steve Nwosu joining us this morning. He's the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Nigerian Express newspaper. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning,
program.
Chamberlain. Carl, nice to see you, and Ayo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Welcome back from his flight.
Come on, guys. It's such a big deal.
Oh, no, you just got started.
Oh.
Which flight? He has a private jet.
It was a sudden flight. well, let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune and see what they lead with today. Oh boy, they're not smiling actually. Northern Elders Forum to Buhari. Nigeria falling apart under your watch. So this is point blank. They have been at this for a while now. So yes, it is the big lead among several other stories. But yes, they may have said this. One wonders how seriously the government regards the NEF first, let alone this submission. So you think this will make any impact to the government?
Nigeria is falling apart. Well, if the government, I think the government can listen to them for a change. The Northern Elders Forum has initially supported the president and when he was coming on, but recently, since things have started going down south, they have been outspoken about the state of the country, and they have always been alerting the president about it. And I think coming from them, they are not the people you can easily brand as whalers, as they brand some of us. They are people that truly desire that the country can be better than it is now, and I think it's an advice that should be taken, and I'm happy it's coming from the Northern Elders Forum, so that you can't start interpreting anything about ethnicity or religion to this. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and I see NIN compulsory for 2021 UTME registration ascribed to JAMB. I remember, I think Mondo Bani did get a judgment saying that they needed to extend the deadline for NIN by 2 months. So the court ruled in Lagos on that one, Federal High Court Lagos. But so what does this then mean? Does it then mean that, look, will they insist? If they stop them, can they sue JAMB?
I think there's another newspaper that made it the primary story this morning.
Oh, okay. So we'll hold on that one then. So that's Tribune this morning.
Well, take a look at Vanguard. Leads with a statement from Yetiala. Displaced herdsmen, now bandits. Another dimension to this. But let me take the writers before I get your perspective of this one. Nigeria falling apart. NEF, Afenifere, MBF, PANDEF, tell FG. Wake up to your responsibility, NEF spokesman FG should do the needful. Afenifere. You see, present government may midwife disintegration of Nigeria. Middle Belt Forum. Let's work together to end reign of terror. That's coming from Pandef. Blame governors for rise in banditry. Mieti Allah. So, it's quite a lot, really. But when you see this submission saying displaced herdsmen, now bandits, what do you make of it, really?
Displaced herdsmen, where were they coming from before? They've always been on the move. My fear is this issue of herdsmen and banditry that we keep hyping. I was listening to Sheikh Gumi the other time, and he was saying that they are angry because we are not addressing their grievances and stuff like that. Now I ask them, who doesn't have grievance? Who doesn't have something to bones to pick with the government today? Why aren't all of us resorting to use of AK-47 to further our own debate? It's not that when you say displaced herdsmen, now bandits, where were they displaced from? They've always been on the move. So if somebody, these herdsmen that are actually displacing people, which was what led to what Otom has been shouting for, which they shot at him and now claim, and even the Funam, or what do they call it, claim the responsibility for it. It's not about, I don't think there is a, it's not all the herdsmen that are these bandits. I still want to believe. The bandits are coming from outside of this country. We have no issue with the herdsmen we've heard before. They've never claimed being displaced. The problem is...
But how do you know who is what?
Those in our security should know. They do know. When they open our borders, they know. It's a question of its issue is just like what I was saying about it's one thing not to know, it's one thing to know and not do anything. That which was what I was querying about this girl's story last 2-3 days ago when they said that Leah Sharibu has had a second baby and all that. And I said, if we are so on top of the issue, know when she had the first baby, know when she has the second baby, it means we are in contact. So why can't we rescue her, stuff like that? So the idea is that knowing what to do is different, doing it is another thing. So
can we also say they know what to do now that they've said they've identified those who are quote and unquote bandits?
They know what to do. They know what to do. What this situation needs is just sincerity. Not even political will. It's sincerity, because we also, Buhari is a man we know to have strong will, and he has the will to do it if he really wants to do it. This issue of herdsmen and banditry and all that, let them stop this idea of making it look like every Fulani person out there is a bandit, or that every Fulani herder is kidnapping and robbing people. They know these people, they come in, these are remnants from the Maghreb, Burkina Faso and all of that. They know it, and they can check their influx. So let's just, let's stop deceiving ourselves like we don't know. They do know. And Sheikh Gumi said it, that they know. It's just that they don't want to go about it the way they have been going about it. I think they know.
You know, it turns out there are two versions, really, of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. What you see on your screen takes one of the riders, and the other one talks about the displaced herdsmen, now bandits. So perhaps for different regions, you might say. But the big picture on the front page, something that really touches my heart. You see water scarcity hits Abuja. You see residents of Durumi area fetching water from a stream as water scarcity hits part of Abuja. But you know, seeing that stream, seeing where they're actually fetching water from, just leaves so much to be desired. Oh dear, let me just take this one.
I'm wondering, just a second on that one, I'm wondering, you know, what we make of all of the headlines or, you know, international celebrations that we acknowledge. Just a few days ago, it was World Water Day.
Yeah.
And we're talking about valuing water. Yeah. Is there any value communicated here?
Yeah, there is here.
We join UN and celebrate all the days, but what? Just ask yourself, what does it really take to get clean water to people? what does it take to sink a borehole? But you see, these funds are approved. They will sink one borehole, and everybody, the special advisor on MDGs and all of them, will gather there and commission one borehole or two, and that's the end. Sometimes they even commission the borehole. The moment they leave, the water there has dried. Sometimes they sink the borehole and put a tank up there. They just use the water and they fill the water, use it to commission it, and after that, there's no water left. Okay. So that is, I think it's a big, and that is the source of most of the diseases that trouble us in this country. If we can get clean water, we would have battled some of these diseases that we carry, that kind of worry us so much. Are things that we would have solved almost 30% of them.
You know, I think it should be a crime to deprive people of clean water. But when you see what's on Vanguard Sports, you see excitement as he and Cho hits Super Eagles camp. Teammates tease him on his new swag. Customizes face mask with senior man killers. I think the senior man thing
Senior man is his nickname. Is his nickname.
You know, seeing the goals he's been netting, hopefully will give us some during the qualifiers. But that's Vanguard Sports for you.
New Telegraph is also interested in nationhood. Lead story this morning: call for secession tears Yoruba apart. And I'm wondering what that means, really. But then the writers, it's not in our best interests. That's YCE, Yoruba Council of Elders, and Northern Elders to Buhari, Nigeria failing. That story is on page 3 of the paper this morning. But right under the nameplate, we've spoken quite a bit about that one already. Right under the nameplate, well, under the picture you see there, court orders extension as JAMB makes NIN mandatory for candidates. 2021 UTME DE registration begins April 3. Also on page 3. What do you make of this? Just a few days ago, there was a judgment
of JAMB and NIN.
No, of the extension of NIN for.
It's almost, unless we don't want to acknowledge the fact. The truth is that many people still haven't registered. It's still unfortunately for us, the moment we see that there's an extension, everybody relaxes again. And then when about a week or two to the expiration of the new deadline, they crowd the same place again. These are things we can do gradually, and if people don't sit back, we can do it. But I actually don't support the idea of using this NIN for it. Everything there are so many things I praise JAMB for, which is bringing down the cost of JAMB form. The prof, the JAMB registrar, said he was going to bring it down. He's been reducing it, and despite reducing the cost of the form, he's still returning money to the federal government. That is a plus. But this idea of NIN is going to pose a lot of problem. I think they should still register these people with the regular ID cards or school ID and all that they have, knowing that the NIN process is somehow very frustrating. That's.
Take a look at Daily Trust next. Senate moves to whittle down IGP's powers, decentralizes police structure. Look at the writers. Once operational budgetary controls vested in AIG's governors, lawmakers, monarchs to be an advisory council. And then there are several provisions introduced in the new police bill. So, do you think this will give us the desired reorganization of the policing structure that...
I think there is need to tinker with the police setup, quite all right. But then let them not look at it as if it's an attack or focusing on the IGP and his powers and all that. The truth is that we are talking of state police, we are talking of all kinds of... The police needs a almost complete overhaul. And... I heard the Senate trying to tinker with the police service commission and all that. There are so many people, there are certain powers that are vested in the IG that if you're not in the good books of the IG, you just might not make progress on your career. And this should be that, it should be that the IG can supervise you, not just determine whether you sometimes there was a time the Police Service Commission approved some appointment. The IG kicked that those promotions should come from him and all that. I think they need to straighten up all those things, and then we know where we are. But then basically, that is not where the problem is. I think what we need is the state police everybody has been calling for, and that is what they should be looking at, not weighing down somebody's power or giving somebody more power. We should be looking at state police because the country, like they said, is collapsing. Okay, and then you also see that bandits kill over 20 vigilantes in Niger. So that is Daily Trust this morning.
Well, Nigerian News Directors next. No rift between Buhari-Tinubu presidency, as Tinubu donates 50 million naira for Katsina market fire victims. And, this talk has been on for a while, especially the lead story, certain rift between the president and the national leader of the APC. Do you see this quelling all that debate about whether or not they're on the same page?
When you see the presidency deliberately issuing a statement on it, there's no rift and all that. It doesn't change a thing. We are not concerned with what they say. Instead, we are looking at the body language. We are looking at whether Tinubu's interests are being properly taken care of by the government. They were saying something about APC membership registration and all that. Tinubu and co were kicking against it. Nobody took that protest into consideration. There are so many things. Yes, of course, Tinubu is not somebody known for. The idea was that he hadn't showed up he hasn't been visiting Aso Rock and all that. But they said he's not a member of the government. He has no portfolio in the government. He's just party leader, national leader, which they've even refused to gazette properly and maybe so we can say by law of the party, this is Tinubu's role. But then he's a kingmaker from the background. We get the impression he wants to run for the presidency in 2023. No, he hasn't told anybody, but moves are on. But then all is not well because you see a lot of his. I see the presidency deliberately empowering certain people in the southwest who don't seem to be on the same page with Tinubu and all that. So all those little things are the meanings people read into this. But I think they will sort it out with time. They will sort it out. That was how they did before the 2015 election, and suddenly president was going and 2019 and I invited Ashwaju to accompany him, I think, to Côte d'Ivoire. And by the time they came, they had tidied up something. All we saw was that they had kicked out Oyego and brought Oshomole. And now when they kicked out, so it's like there are moves that are happening there that we say this might not go well with Tinubu. You remove his persons, the FIR's guy and stuff like that, and then we had talk of calling up his file again and all that. But Tinubu is a fighter. He will pull through.
Question is, perception and reality, same page or different poles? Well, the Guardian newspaper is next. And slow vaccine rollout raises fears of COVID-19 third wave. That's the lead of the paper this morning. Look at the writers. East Africa announces 98% fresh infections. And there's a quote, "We don't have enough vaccines to stop imminent third wave." And the virus gains ability to transmit, virus gains ability to transmit more efficiently, says Agwale. But the interest of the lead is actually something quite interesting. Slow rollout is swelling fears of the third wave. But of course, the president already said we have what it takes to take it all round. In a few seconds, what do you make of this?
My fear in all this is we are rolling out the vaccine, but we've kind of abandoned this idea of having how do I say, all the protocols we have been respecting before. You now see more and more people, because there is vaccine, more and more people not wearing face masks again, all those little things we do. Parties have started. No, even though there are there's still this distrust or mistrust, I say, suspicion about what the vaccine will do. I, as a person, when they wrote out and they said we should register online, after I finished registering and they said, sent me a message that they said, okay, that they have accepted my registration, that a message will be sent to me shortly, so I can know where to, what number they will give me. I checked, my number was 4,000 something. But as I sit down here now, almost 2 weeks after, that message has not come.
Maybe it's because it's just...
And I went to the place I'm supposed to take the vaccine yesterday. There was even, it was such a mess. And I just turned around and said, maybe I will look for another place and go.
Well, beside the picture you see on the front page, how Nigeria wastes unjustified wealth on UK education. CBN admits $960 million overseas funding of education and personal travels. Nigerians pay 20.25 billion tuitions yearly to UK schools, says a report. Make education system attractive to curb trend, scholars advise. Mr. Nwosu, you have only 30 seconds to comment on this.
Let us make our education universities work. Before he came to power, the president said something about medical tourism. Why should I go abroad to get treatment? What he told them at this Chatham House, why should I go abroad to get treatment? Why should my children go abroad to school when the schools can be fixed here? Up to now, they have not been fixed. Everybody is going. Even if you take, until we ask all our public officers, at least the political office holders, to keep their children in Nigeria for education, this will never reduce, because we see people who don't even earn up to 6 million in a year. They will send their children abroad to school where they'll be paying 10 million on one student. And then that is where the corruption begins, because you have to raise the money from the system to pay school fees abroad.
Let's look at leadership, insecurity. And it says, no need to worry. We'll have 2023 elections. That's ascribed to INEC. And then they say military will do what they have to do. So, well, did we expect anything from INEC?
We are thinking of, that's why we and our politicians are not on the same page. No matter what they do, even look at when we were saying COVID is spreading, everybody was observing protocols. The politicians were still having their rallies, holding their elections. So, irrespective of what you do, everything they do, like they say, politicians, think of the next election. That's all they're after. All these other ones, downturn in the economy, insecurity, all they want is let us have an election and then either win or rig ourselves to power. If indeed the country keeps going the way it's going, we just might not have a country by 2023.
Oh, boy. Well, that's leadership this morning.
Well, let's quickly take a look at Blueprint. Leads with FG earmarks 1 trillion naira for cottage industries in 774 local governments. You see private sector to invest 19 trillion naira over 10 years. That's the Blueprint newspaper. And you see Nalge rejects bill seeking to delist local councils as third tier of government. How is that even a thing? But hey, it's democracy, right? You need to give everyone a voice. And just one more, $1.5 billion for Port Harcourt Refinery. Reps order probe of repair funds.
That even makes, how that is even a thing, to delist the third tier of government. Please. The Daily Times newspaper this morning. Come on.
Is it the 1.5 billion that is...
This is displaced Africa.
There's enough to get anybody angry, really. The justification for the 1.5 billion for Port Harcourt Refinery, and they have gone on and on. All the four, this was a government that promised us that they will give us one refinery every year for the next 4 years, and we are here. We can't even repair the ones we had.
Mr. Nwosu, what if government decides to do it all in 1 year? You don't even know what's going on. Please. The Daily Times newspaper this morning, FG opens bids for 12 federal highways. See? 12 federal highways. The story is on page 2. And refinery reps to investigate and audit $1.5 billion for FG,
Is
for
that
PH
highway a game
refinery
changer now?
rehabilitation, previous maintenance.
It's called the HDMI.
So do you think that's going to be a game changer now? This highway bid?
Anything that is, if the bill is going to talk about build, toll, and transfer, it's going to go a long way. Yes, people will kick, but that's the only way we can fix, because obviously government once they manage to do that contract, or award that contract, and the road is done once, there's no maintenance again. If we can get a bill that will make it compulsory for them to build and toll and all that, I think we might have better roads. So it's the way it's done all over the world. It's just that we need a little more enlightenment on it, and then so people don't just think that it's government trying to extort. I'm sure you won't mind driving. I was coming here, I entered into a pothole. I almost lost that tire.
Whoa.
So I mean, if the road is tolled and I can drive easily, I would
Whatever
gladly
makes
do
it
that.
work. As long as, just as you said, if it works and we think differently and gives results, no problem. Well, thank you very much indeed for coming on. Steve Nwosu is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Nigerian Express.
Thank you, John. See you.
We're back in a moment. Stay with us.